Vols are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! Brought by Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch. Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, March 30th, 2023. I finally got that right. The Vols are down in Baton Rouge, taking on the Tigers right now. Sorry, there was no rescheduling today for a couple of reasons. Number one, we bow to no one. Number two, we do have a great interview with Will Watkins coming up, talking NIL Volunteer Club. Excited for you guys to hear more about that. Excited to be an affiliate for the Volunteer Club. My goal, my personal goal, I did the math. If you want to fact check me, Landon, you may. My personal goal, we didn't get a number from Will, and that's okay. My personal goal, though, is a member for every person that would be in Neyland Stadium during a football game. It's almost 102,000 people. That would be a little over $450,000 a month. Now, I know what you're saying, Caleb. They're only at 2,400 members right now, almost at 2,400. That's a big goal. Hey, small steps get there, one step at a time. That's our goal. That's More Important Issues goal, though. I hope I didn't even talk to you about that. I just said it. I hope you're with me.
Well, I mean, at one point we were just a couple Guitar Hero microphones and a laptop. So here we are.
This is a Guitar Hero microphone.
Oh,
it's not. I'm just kidding. I do have the Guitar Hero microphone, and I do use it when we play Rock Band. So
okay.
Shout out.
Is it the same one? I don't even know what happened to those microphones.
I think it is. It's one of them. We had two or three.
Okay.
I am excited for this show. I hate that the Vols are playing right now. That's brutal. I'm trying to get the game pulled up back onto my phone. Didn't start off wonderful, but we'll talk a little bit about that series as
we're good. Hey, we're good. We made it through the first inning.
Okay.
We're okay. We're okay.
Hey, I love to see Chase dig in a little bit.
Yeah, 2 on, no outs. Hey, it's fine.
Love to see him dig in. We do have a great show for you guys. We're going to talk about some too early expectations. Me and Landon actually talked a little bit about Virginia, Tennessee today, and we might have something special in store for you all.
Maybe. We'll
keep
see.
your eyes and ears peeled. We just may.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about before we talk about NIL, we're going to talk about big recruit, big commit. Excited to do that. We got a huge series at the box taking place right now, but that's also going on tomorrow and Saturday, excuse me. To be the best, you got to beat the best. The Vols have a heck of a couple series coming up. So it's honestly, I mean, look, you can't win them all. You want to win them all. But let's go win them all. How about that?
Why not?
Why not?
Game at a time.
If you got any questions, drop them in the chat. We've already got a few. Some stuff has come up too since we made this outline, so I'm sure we'll talk about that, like transfers. Stay tuned for that. But let's hear from you guys if you've got them. Before we get into the show, though, I do want to talk about our good friends over at Underdog Collectibles. Underdog is Knoxville's best sports collectibles store with a wide selection of UT cards, autographs, and memorabilia. Whether you're looking for a Peyton Manning autographed helmet or the most recent Topps baseball card release, you'll find it at Underdog. The shop is owned by UT graduates and proudly supports UT Sports by hosting NIL events throughout the year. Every time I think I'm tearing through an ad read, some stupid word trips me up.
It's okay. Hey, you're pulling through. Go ahead.
I know. Talking about those NIL deals, you'll hear more from Will Watkins, cool name, and how those NIL deals are great, and being a part of the Vol Club is great for that. Underdog does a great job of connecting fans and these athletes in NIL events, so make sure you keep your eyes and ears peeled for those as well as more come up. Stop by the University Commons Shopping Center next to Publix and Domino's to check them out. They're open 6 days a week with live YouTube shows 3 nights per week. Remember to always bet on the Underdog. My new ASMR is watching card breaks.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's so much fun. I don't even know much about him, but I love it.
Yeah, it's just the unknown. Hey, we're back.
We are back. We are back.
And
We
then
are
with
bringing the
with
Vols
NIL,
back.
I just think like it's not going anywhere. We're gonna just keep winning.
No, I love
And
it.
the haters are gonna be sick.
I love it, and I do love that some people hate outside. If you're a Tennessee fan, you hate NIL. I don't get it. Join today. Go ahead, Dylan. Send that link. Hit that link. We're gonna do it today. Join the Vol Club right now. Right now. There's so many perks. We're gonna talk about some more of those perks here in a second. So many perks. Go join right now.
Yep.
Right now. But I love it. Hate NIL if you're an opposing fan. You should, because the Vol Club is becoming Mr. Steal Your Girl.
It's number one.
Absolutely. I love it. NIL's impact, I think, isn't. Will talks about it. It's got a lot to do with coaching staff, but you can't discredit what NIL's done for the University of Tennessee. You can't.
Man, I'm excited what this coaching staff is about to do though this year because I mean, new quarterback, but kind of the same, right? I mean, like it's a new QB1 to begin with, but it's a guy that's been in your program. It's a guy who's played, has experience,
And
can
he has
throw it a mile.
He has the name Him as well. 2 hymns right in a row.
Himothy.
I love it. I also we got to find out. Joe Milton can throw an orange farther than 100 yards. We got to know what the distance is.
Yeah, I want to see how far he can actually throw it from Henley Street Bridge.
Oh, see if he can get it to Gay Street. What's that yardage?
I don't know. I like to see.
See what we can see if he can get from Henley to Gay. I like that.
Yeah. Spring practice going on. And it's got me a little excited just because like there's no more positions you're like, "Oh my god, we're so thin at that position."
No, I mean there's questions about a few of them, but there's bodies.
Yes. And that's huge. I mean that's a coach going in his third year who's kind of built up this roster. I mean, 2 years ago there was no one at linebacker. And now, I mean, I'm thinking linebacker might be one of your strongest positions. When you look at Aaron Beasley returning, you got Keenan Peely, you got some freshmen last year that played quite a bit on special teams and, kind of in different packages with Elijah Herring, Caleb Perry. And then you add 3 freshmen who were dominant in high school. Coming in, making an impact, and we'll see how much they actually get to play. But I mean, special teams is going to be there, and we'll see if there's any packages with any of those guys in it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting, not only returners but newcomers, and you mentioned some of those. And I mean, Joe Milton's a returner, obviously, but I think there's also a lot of new there. Not only for the fact that he just hadn't been a starter for Tennessee a ton, but the fact that he's also seems to have improved so much since he's been on campus. It kind of feels like a new Joe.
Yeah, 100%.
We're going to talk about the quarterback position a lot. We love the quarterback.
Yeah, it's fun.
And we're going to love the quarterback even more when we get to the next segment. I can't wait.
It's just going to keep rolling. Yeah, just keep rolling.
I hope so. I mean, it's undeniable, not just what I think it's a big selling point to have a guy like Jalen Hyatt be as successful as he has, especially. And I think one thing that's probably not in Tennessee's favor, quote unquote, on the recruiting trail is that Jalen Hyatt he's always been a dude. I mean, he's always been lightning fast. He's always in high school, he scored and scored and scored. It's one of those things. But unfortunately, for any number of reasons, I'm sure you can pick out a few, just didn't find the success that he probably thought he should have had, that the fans thought he should have had, that I'm sure the coaching staff thought he should have had. And then under 2 years with Josh Heupel, figures it out and is more than just a good wide receiver. He's the Blitnikoff winner.
The best wide receiver.
Right. The best wide receiver in the country. Undeniable. He won the trophy. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s a great athlete, a great wide receiver, a great football player. Ohio State fans, you can say whatever you want. There's no one in the country that's been robbed more than Tennessee when it comes to awards. Jalen Hyatt earned that award.
I like that. Yes. That was our time. We waited for that one. Yeah, I just think, kind of looking at that the team, you look at the wide receiver position, you look at the quarterback. Here's the thing with Tennessee. They're never under Josh Heupel. They're never going to be bad at quarterback, and they're never going to be bad at receiver. Those two positions, I feel like we're pretty safe in. Even if we don't land the top guys, I feel comfortable with whoever we got is going to go in there and make plays.
Yeah, and I'll temper expectations a little bit. I'm always the devil's advocate if you're a new listener.
Negaball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't always expect to have a Hendon Hooker or maybe even Joe Milton. I mean, there's a guy like Nico Iamaleava. I'm trying to say it.
Iamaleava.
Yeah, that word. That he obviously has a ton of expectations on him, but you haven't seen him play at the college level. And even a guy like Joe Milton. I mean, you've seen 3 games as starter. Is that right? No. 4. This will be his 4th come Virginia, or this will be his 5th come Virginia. Excuse me,
because he started Pittsburgh, right?
He started Pittsburgh, yeah.
So yeah, this will be 4.
And so there's still a lot of unknowns with him. He did quiet some of those unknowns against Clemson, one of the better defenses in the country, certainly, but the best defense in their conference. And I think he did temper some of those questions. But I think with Josh Heupel, like you said, it's always going to be good. Like they're not. I don't expect. I think he's gonna. While, yeah, it's going to be Josh Heupel's system, it seems he's going to play to the strengths of what he has too. That's how you're successful. And so I'm with you. I'll never feel uncomfortable about who's at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And then, the defense has been kind of the thing that's, it's been bad at times. But I think when you have, bad play, how do you get to that next step? I think you add transfers, obviously recruiting, and you just develop guys. Well, I think the linebackers, I think they're definitely going to be better than they were last year. I just think they have more talent. They have more depth. I mean, no offense to Sloan Page. I thought he played well at times, but, he was a walk-on. He was a guy that probably wasn't supposed to be playing and played quite a bit last year. So, I think you're going to be better at that position, and defensive back is always one people are going to harp on, and rightfully so. At times, it was right. South Carolina. It was one of the worst I've ever seen. But Danico Slaughter, I feel like he is your corner. You add Gabe Judy Lawley to that mix as well. You got some high-profile cornerbacks in Jordan Matthews, Christian Conyer, Ricky Gibson. So I just think as a whole the secondary linebacker should be better. So I just think I'm not saying Joe Milton has to be Hendon Hooker, but if he can if he can replicate some of that like Hendon Hooker had last year, I don't see any reason why this team can't duplicate what they did last year.
Yeah, and I think one more important note too. I think Joe Milton obviously has a ton of talent, and I think he can be a big playmaker for Tennessee. And so I agree that just even a fraction of Hendon Hooker is huge. I think one thing though that you got to be very similar to Hendon Hooker, and you can't really ask for better. It's almost impossible. Taking care of the football. That's going to be crucial because Tennessee's defense, while there's room for improvement, they're always going to they're going to have the hard part of it where they're on the field a lot. They're going to be asked to come on and off the field a lot. There's going to be a lot of transitions. Teams are either going to try and slow it down. They're going to do 2 things. They're either going to try and slow it down and make you stay on the field, or 2, they're going to go up tempo and make you keep up, and both are difficult when your offense is doing what they do. So you got to take care of that football and help your defense that, if it's a quick transition, that means there are points scored.
Sure. Yep. I'm excited. And I know we're talking about expectations. I expect Tennessee to beat the crap out of South Carolina. I hope that that game has been circled as soon as they left Columbia that, hey guys, that should never happen again. Ever.
Yeah, and credit to Spencer Rattler. He had the game of his life. I'm not South Carolina. That was a game. I think that is a game that you're going to get out of Shane Beamer 2 times a year, where they just play really good football or just have a really good game plan. I think that's going to be the case for Shane Beamer. Now, is that enough to keep him around? Is he going to win some of those weird in-between games? To be determined. But I think you look at that Kentucky game was ugly. Texas A&M wasn't pretty, but when you make big plays on special teams and you do what you have to do defensively to win, your offensive game plan can be just good enough, and I thought it was. So I think you're going to get that out of Shane Beamer. So you have to be good enough to not, because that game's going to be circled again on theirs.
Oh yeah,
they stormed the field. They beat the number one team in the country. Like, they had so much fun. They're going to do it again, and they want to spoil it at home. So you got to have it circled too, and it should mean a lot to you, because you look at the playoff at the end of the year. You know, you left that South Carolina game, and or not number one in the country. What were they? Number 5 in the country at that point. But you left there going, we probably weren't going to make the playoff anyways. Like, that sucks for the Sugar Bowl, but probably weren't going to make the playoff anyways. Well, then you look at the end of the season and you're thinking Tennessee might have been able to creep in there with the way everyone finished. And so that one's got a sting, and you know where they want to play spoiler again to whatever special season Tennessee's having, and they should. And I hope we play every game like that. It's been the fun about baseball, right? Yeah. People trying to spoil stuff.
Yeah. I've circled it. I'm sure the team has too, but I just can't wait to beat. I hate Shane Beamer. He became my most hated coach in the SEC, and it's not even close.
So I do have a question about that. Again, tangent show. Would you like Shane Beamer if he was your guy?
No.
Not even for a minute.
I just don't think I would, honestly.
I don't know if I definitely wouldn't if it was post Butch Jones. If it was pre Butch Jones and this is year 1 and 2 of Shane Beamer, I think I would like him a lot.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Right. I think Butch Jones ruined it for Shane Beamer as far as our hearts would go. Yeah. We've already been ruined by a guy. Like, I do think Shane Beamer's a better football coach than Butch Jones, by the way. But, you know, what's that really saying?
But also, like, and maybe I'd feel differently just because I've seen it, but I hope I would feel a little some type of way about the amount of ads he's on. It's like, why does he have to be on every in the age of NIL? Why is Shane Beamer on every ad?
Is that a South Carolina thing? You think you've got the classic Will Muschamp video? It's the outtakes. God, what is it? It's one of my favorite videos. What does he say? Get out of your effing seats, Gamecock fans, or something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
I love it. Oh, yeah, you have. I've shown it to you before. I think I've shown it on this podcast before. It is one of my all-time favorites. I'll find it later and send it to you.
Okay.
It is awesome. Yeah. Deep cuts. Eric, I talking about expectations. I didn't know how far you wanted to go as far as
well, I thought it wasn't going to be like a huge day of news. So I was like, we can just do this to kind of fill content a little bit and, you know, just talk some ball and tangent a little bit. But then you had, well, I mean, we knew the commit was coming, but, you know, then we had the basketball news come about.
Sure.
So,
sure. Well, I didn't have exactly I didn't have a record by win loss by game for you. But I did kind of just want to kick it off how I feel like we do normally when we get here. I mean, I'll look at Tennessee's schedule and let me just make sure I get this right. I see 9 wins there. Pretty easily is not the right word because there's SEC schedules or SEC games tucked in there. I think Kentucky's a worse team than they were last year.
Okay.
But I also think
that they are a question mark for me on being worse because I think Devin Leary's a good quarterback.
That's fair. Worse may not be the right word. I don't think they're any better though. That's, I guess, what I should say.
Chris Rodriguez is done, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
But so worse may not be the right word, and I was going to kind of because it wouldn't make sense in my second part of that. I don't think they're any better. You do play them at home or at Lexington in pretty much November, October 28th. It's going to be cold as hell. It always is. It's probably going to snow.
Sure.
So that game is one of those 9 I think Tennessee should win, but it's certainly one of those SEC games that I could see Tennessee losing.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee, luckily, like we had pretty good weather last year in the offense that we run. And not to say that they can't, but spreading it like in a torrential downpour, spreading it out and trying to run the ball, I mean, good luck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be different if it is bad weather. Like, how does that team respond? Well,
I think Vanderbilt kind of answered that question, but it's also Vanderbilt. So
that's true. Yeah. I forgot that we played in that game. But
they did score 50 points. So, I mean, I'm not discrediting that
Yeah.
offense can still move. Don't get me wrong. It is Vanderbilt. You didn't
We
have
did
to play
have
much defense.
like 6 or not 6, probably 4 like long running touchdowns.
Yeah.
And you just don't see that a lot across college football, is just long rushing touchdowns. But Tennessee somehow, knocked it out of the park against Vanderbilt.
Fastest show on grass, baby.
Yeah.
Florida's another one of those SEC games. I know you, with your true hate for Florida, I know you they're bad, but you also maybe think they suck. And I just don't know if Florida's ever going to, while they struggled last year, they should have been a lot better.
Who's their quarterback?
Good. It's going to be
dude from Ohio State.
Is it Ohio State? Is that where he's from? Maybe.
Not.
It is a train. Oh, it's Wisconsin. It's got to be him, right?
Oh, it's Graham Mertz.
Graham Mertz.
That's right. That's right.
And I mean, you just have that talent pool that it's always going to be a question mark for me. But I have it as one of those. I have it as one of those wins.
Yeah,
I mean, should get. It's in the swamp too. That makes it more. That's going to make it more difficult.
Well, I mean, you look at Florida, Alabama, Georgia, all those guys, and Georgia's going to be good. Whoever that they place at quarterback, but it's still going to be somebody new. It's not going to be Stetson Bennett. You got a lot to replace. Now, they did the same thing that they did last year, and I'm sure they'll reload, but it is a new quarter. I like Tennessee's quarterback in Joe Milton than the rest of the SEC, right? I mean, KJ maybe?
I just wanted to kind of run through it before I say yes for sure.
But I mean, like, Alabama's got somebody new. I like Joe Milton better than Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe. I mean, maybe I'm
sure right now.
Yeah, maybe I'm saying differently, but and then nobody at Georgia has any real experience.
No.
So if I'm going into the season with a guy with experience, I think Joe Milton's probably one of the
LSU does get Jaden Daniels back, a guy that seemed to kind of settle in his own.
Yeah,
but I think I'm with you in that. I think Joe Milton right now, you're talking about Jaden Daniels, who had a good back half of the season, but I still think I'm taking Joe Milton right now, especially that Orange Bowl performance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even you don't play Jaden Daniels or LSU unless you play him in an SEC championship.
Right. No, I was just running through the whole SEC though,
but yeah, I mean, Texas A&M, I don't care who they're playing.
And that's a game that I think it's good that it's at home. I like it better than if it was in College Station. But another game that I have as a win that I think could easily be a toss-up because it is an A&M team that has talent. Like whether you talk about how it's been coached, the fact of the matter is that they're going to have talent across the board there, and that's always dangerous. I mean, I'm hoping that the Bobby Petrino, Jimbo Fisher mix-up is just super toxic and they don't get along and egos clash. That's my hope, because those are two football coaches that have been incredibly successful before. And if they find a way to figure it out, I mean, good for Tennessee in the future maybe, because maybe they give trouble to Alabama and LSU and beat up on them too. But for this year, if those egos get set aside, could end up being at least competitive.
Yeah, I would just like to boat race them.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I don't think they have they don't have the quarterback right now to do that for sure.
No. That's kind of all I got. I am excited. I'm excited to be in Nashville for Virginia. I know nothing about Virginia. I think their quarterback left. Or did he leave? Did he leave? I think he did leave.
Yeah, I believe so. Tony Elliott's another good football coach that I think he just took the wrong job personally.
Hate it for him. Could have been us.
I do have a stupidity while we're here to read off, just because it goes kind of with those expectations. And I don't know if you didn't give a team a reason, if a team didn't have a reason to be mad at you, or maybe they already had a decent reason and being an in-state rival, maybe don't give them more reason. Vanderbilt linebacker CJ Taylor, interviewed by Vandy 247. I'll just read this all out for you. Vanderbilt linebacker CJ Taylor emerged as one of the Commodores' top players in 2022 with 59 total tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, 2 defensive touchdowns. A source in Vanderbilt's program told 247 Sports that the Commodores believe in-state rival Tennessee tampered with Taylor, attempting to get the McMinnville, Tennessee native to enter the NCAA transfer portal and join the Volunteers. Taylor was asked Thursday whether that claim is true. Yeah, there were some conversations there, but I'm glad to be here. Maybe throwing out those tampering violations. Maybe don't give Tennessee. I don't know. You just got your brakes beat off of you, Clark Lee. What are you, CJ Taylor? Do you not remember the absolute just skull fill in the blank for all the kids listening? It's a much nicer word that Joe Milton delivered you on a rainy day in November. Was that fun? Do you want that in Neyland? What do you do? Like, just so dumb. Why? If you have to play a team, why give them bulletin board material? It doesn't make sense.
Also, I'm kind of calling cap. I mean, we just talked about how many like long touchdown runs. I don't know if we're talking to any Vanderbilt linebackers after that game.
I would be a little surprised. That's a guy that was very impactful, and I mean, maybe the thing is let me just it's the good college football programs before NIL. They had these guys called bagmen, and if you're not familiar with bagmen, they did drop off bags of cash or $100 turned into $1,000 handshakes.
All Tennessee fans should be aware.
Those guys, well, here's the problem. Some Tennessee fans may not be aware because typically the good college football programs, it's not the coaches doing it. There's tampering going on in college athletics. You absolutely can't deny it. The coaches that are going to be around for a long time, the coaches that don't want the NCAA sniffing around in a time where you can almost be unbothered with NIL, they might have people doing it for them. They might have a relationship with CJ Taylor's high school coach. Said, hey, do you know anything about his transfer possibilities? Would he want to be a volunteer? And then that guy, like that may be the case. Yeah. I promise you, the good college football programs aren't calling this guy, texting this guy directly. That's not happening. So the talk was there, not from a Tennessee coach. That's a flat out lie.
Yeah, no.
Flat out lie.
Nope.
And Tennessee coaches, if you were doing that, listen to me. Be better about tampering. It exists. I know it exists. I'm not telling you to stop doing it. I want to win. But be better about it if that's the case, if you did that.
Yeah, we still got the NCAA sniff around. There's no way a coach is doing that.
Yeah, it'd be very dumb. Very dumb. So floor and ceiling. I think you're back at like 10 wins ceiling. I think it's just tough to overcome Georgia and Alabama, two solid football teams, a year in, year out, regardless of quarterback situation. That's going to be tough to overcome. Alabama's away. You do get Georgia at home. I think your ceiling, though, let's call it 10 wins regular season. I think your floor is absolutely, it's 8. And I think even then there's going to be some questionable stuff happen. But you're playing.
If you go 8-4, people are saying like, what was that?
I don't disagree with that, but you do have to be reminded you are playing in the SEC. I mean, Nick Saban was really close to winning 8 games this year.
Yeah, that's true. I think it can happen, but like when you're talking about who your losses are to,
I know. Yeah.
Like if you're losing to Kentucky or and Texas A&M or Kentucky and South Carolina or any combination of those three, I think people are just like, this is a step back.
But see, I don't see it as a step back. I definitely would see it as definitely the brakes were hit hard. Whatever happened, something went wrong. But I think too, when you build a program, you're building it right now. Kirby Smart, he's built a fantastic program at Georgia. But if people are going to ignore that Mark Richt already had that program ready to be taken over, you're stupid. And I'm not discrediting what Kirby's done. He's done incredible. But Georgia's always expected to win when they've gone in on Saturdays under Mark Richt. That didn't change with Kirby Smart. Alabama, Saban was able to pretty much come in and right the ship pretty fast, but he still had some weird losses at the beginning. Louisiana Monroe, most specifically. Yeah, I think LSU, look at Brian Kelly, weird losses, but also some weird wins in there too. A guy that's been a good football coach, built a program, pretty solid one. Now seems to be doing it at LSU. I just think Jimbo Fisher, a guy that's been successful elsewhere, has not been able to build a program that's consistent. And so I think year 3 with Heupel, a lot of new dancing around. 8-4 again depends on who those losses come to. I'm with you, like 100%. I would need to see the 8 wins and the 4 losses before I said step back.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. And how they were done too.
I mean, if you're talking about down to the wire, 2 losses of those are to Alabama and Georgia by a score, or maybe 10. I think maybe you're questioning that. If you're talking about a call not going your way, and maybe it's bad football like Purdue, but the call didn't go your way at the end, you lose that game in Lexington at Kroger Field. You're probably pretty upset, but also looking at it like, oh, probably should have won that game. Maybe it's an away SEC game. Like you're not calling it a step back. That other loss, let's call it to A&M, and maybe you get outworked and the talent does just shine, because there's still a talent. Let's go look at the recruiting classes the last couple of years. There's still a talent gap between Tennessee and A&M, like no doubt. And it's a game where maybe you get out athlete and comes down, again, one score, 2-score game. Well, I mean, I don't think it should be the case, but
I think that
I'm not saying
they could beat us in the trenches. I don't think anybody.
Well, I don't mean I don't mean outrunning out. I mean like dudes type deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Outduded, if that's the right word.
Okay.
That's why I want to see what the 8 wins, 4 losses would be before I'm calling it a step back. Yeah, if you go beat by Florida by 21, if you lose another just drudging to South Carolina, then yeah, I think a step back would be in play. Yeah, for sure.
100%. Yeah, don't lose to Florida, don't lose to South Carolina, don't lose to Kentucky, don't lose to Texas A&M. How about that?
Yeah, I would love that. Don't lose to Vanderbilt. Actually, if he breaks off Vanderbilt, give CJ Taylor a signed football after. Call that tampering.
There you go. I like that. All right, let's get into got some big news today. 4-star quarterback Jake Merklinger from Savannah, Georgia, committed to Tennessee. Number 7 overall quarterback in this class. Number 66 player in the class. So, I mean, what a job by this staff. Had him on an official visit last week. Got to meet with and I think this is a big thing for the staff, because Joey Halzle just got this OC job. And I know he's been with Heupel and he was within, he was a quarterback coach, but I just think like the trust already in him to take over and not really miss a beat is pretty incredible. And like, if a quarterback this early in the process is going to put all his faith in that, I think it tells you a lot about where the program's at.
No, yeah, I definitely.
There's no more wait and see anymore with this staff, and yeah, I think that's big.
And I think Joey Halzle definitely has like something to do with it. He's your OC, he's your QB guy. That's who that's going to be your kind of main guy throughout the process. I think it also speaks to what these young guys are thinking about Josh Heupel too, because that's the consistent piece in all this. So I think that speaks volumes to that.
And quarterbacks should be lining up to play in the number 1 offense, right? I mean,
for sure.
And, I think it's incredible because you just signed the number 1 player in the country at that position in Nico. And then, this quarterback right behind him is just like, yeah, I'm coming there too.
And as much as Hendon Hooker's development had to be a nice draw for that, what about Joe Milton's a guy who – that had to be a tough decision to sit Joe Milton, who you trusted throughout camp, trusted through the first 3 games, and then you go to Hendon Hooker. Well, Joe Milton sits back, and he looks like he's much improved. You talk about a guy just coming in behind the number 1 recruit. I'm sure he expects to start because he's a competitor, but there's probably also an expectation there of, hey, if I don't, I'm going to get better.
Yeah. I just think that the whole, JG, sorry, you're going to have to get that thing out. But JG, Dormady.
I haven't been written on in a while, man. I haven't been keeping up with the days. I've been bad about it, but I mean, you can see it's starting to fade. I'm missing a T. Like it's been a long time since I've had to touch this. So I'll update it though.
But yeah, just like those kind of days of like bad quarterback play, I think is over. I think no matter what, somebody's going to win the job and somebody's going to be in this offense and command it and do well. I don't think Tennessee in this offense is ever going to have a bad quarterback play. You might not have sensational quarterback play like when Joe Milton started against Ball State and Pitt, but I do think you can. 0. You got it. Frank Anderson's already out. We got
we've
2 on.
We've walked 2 in the top of the first, so bottom of the third. What am I saying? Bottom of the third. We're still in the first inning. We're in the top of the first, and they're
top of the first.
And they're batting. And they're batting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's over. I think Tennessee's always going to have somebody to rely on, and you're seeing it with this stack. You're stacking classes at the quarterback position. You got Joe, you got your guy in Nico, who's, guys are going to have to sit a little bit, but I think you can look at Hendon Hooker and be like, hey, all you need is 2 years. You need 2 years to be the starting quarterback at Tennessee. You can hear your name called on draft day and play on Sundays.
Yeah, and I think all the reasons you just listed, I think this is a big get for Josh Heupel and where he's at Tennessee. I think also one thing, and it was kind of good to hear a guy like Eric Kane, who's ear down to the recruiting trail, kind of in the know and what's going on, talk about the way guys are committing, that it kind of starts in before their senior year. A lot of guys like to get it nailed down. Those conversations have been happening earlier. So getting a guy like that nailed down, and then also getting class around him. Tennessee's already had some big names in the mix for this class, but once you start getting them nailed down, I think maybe you see guys start rolling in and relationships formed beyond just recruiting and also with other players. So I think that's big too. Yeah, quarterback position is huge. Yeah, I think it says a lot about Josh Heupel, but I also think it's big for the class overall to get a guy like this in the mix.
Yeah, 100%. And from the state of Georgia. So, I'm sure he knows a lot of those high-profile guys. Mike Matthews at Parkview is in that state as a wide receiver that, Tennessee would love to have. Ryan Wingo's another one. So, yeah, I just think, like, dipping down in Georgia, hopefully he's able to build some guys around him. Get him this early is huge because, he can go be that recruiter. Like, hey, I'm the face of this class now. Like, this is who we want to get. And you already have, one of the best players in the state in Caleb Beasley committed. Jonathan Eccles, who is an edge rusher or tight end, whatever he's going to play, kind of athlete down there and at IMG Academy. So, yeah, and Marcus Gorey, another in-state guy. So I think this in-state class is definitely coming together. Now you got your quarterback, kind of the face of the class, already committed and ready to go. And what you're talking about with the recruiting is kind of being taken care of a lot earlier now. I mean, you're seeing all the official visits happen in the summer.
Right.
They're coming in for games for unofficial visits. It's not like it used to be. Most of those official visits are getting taken care of before their senior year, have that decision already done, get through senior year, and then, they're ready to take on bowl practice and sign.
Yeah, I was going to say that's definitely part of it is those moving up, getting on campus, and it's kind of cool to see, like you mentioned, the official visits happening, and you'll see some of these guys on campus this season for games, and I think that's just an extra tool in recruiting when you're in the mix for guys and you're still battling, and they come into town, and hey, this 4-star quarterback from Georgia is going to be sitting with you at the game. I think that's a big draw. So. It's interesting how that all has kind of changed, but I think now that Tennessee doesn't feel behind the 8 ball because Josh Heupel wasn't hired in January of this year, or February, of this year, I think that things are kind of starting to feel better.
Yeah. And going back to this kid a little bit, he's super athletic, can throw the ball a mile, and he also plays basketball and lacrosse. I just like guys that play multiple positions. I just think that says a little bit about them as a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it.
Christian Moore just turned a nice double play.
Yeah, I like it.
Got on third. Was that Trey Morgan at bat?
Yeah.
It was good to get him out on a double play. It's got to feel good. Keep battling, Chase. Dig in, baby.
Yeah.
Dig in.
All right. What we got now?
So before we're going to go to NIL, but before we do that, we've got Will Watkins joining the show. Landon's going to tell you guys a little bit about it, the volunteer club. Like we've said, we're affiliates with them now. We're excited to work with them. Hopefully you get a little partying in with them too at tailgates. He mentioned how much fun tailgates are. I can't help but agree with him. So
yeah,
man.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
He's a man of culture. He knows.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, guys, go check that out. We will tweet out our link. You can go on that link. You can join for as little as $5. Kind of goes up from tiers after that. Comes with different perks, newsletter, T-shirts, sign autographs monthly, things like that. So please go do that. Join today. I mean, keep Tennessee on this winning trajectory that we're already on. And, it's going to be a lot of fun to do. So, do that. And it also comes with, Caleb mentioned tailgates and events. There's a lot of perks for the fan out there, and 90% of this goes directly to the student athlete. So you're going to find a lot more here in a second from Will Watkins, but yeah, go check that out. And
you mentioned perks. Another thing, let me run to their Instagram page just so I can nail this down so I don't botch this. I saw today, so I'm learning. We're all learning at the same time here. The Volunteer Club is giving away right now, if I can get this right, if you join in March, so today and tomorrow, last chance, new first time, if I can read, new first time Vol Club members, checkerboard and up, will receive a free 8x10 player autograph in their membership packets. So you've got until March, or the end of March, and you will get a free autograph. Checkerboard and up, that's one of the tiers of membership. Make sure you go over their page, and if you want that autograph, checkerboard and up, sign up today. Tomorrow's last day. Better get that in.
Yep. And here's our interview with Will Watkins.
We now welcome onto the show a guy from the Volunteer Club. You're going to learn more about the Volunteer Club. I'm excited. We're More Important Issues is an affiliate. Going to do our best to help them grow this brand. We're excited because the Volunteer Club is a great partner. If you can say that, we'll ask that question with the University of Tennessee and the student athletes. But we've got Will Watkins on. Will, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be on the show. So appreciate you guys inviting me on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I do have a hard-hitting question before we jump into all the NIL Volunteer Club stuff. Will Watkins is a very cool name. I don't know if you've gotten that before. Yeah. Is William your first name, though?
Middle name.
Okay.
The full name is Albert William Watkins III. So I really missed an opportunity to be like a lawyer or something way more prestigious than this. So,
well, that's William Watkins sounds like, I don't know, baseball name for sure, but definitely a baseball name in a movie. Like if there was
when I was growing up, I used to always want to be William Wallace because I thought like I was a conqueror. So there's that that plays into it.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, great name. I needed to comment on that before we get going.
Appreciate it. I'll let my dad know.
And you're the VP of athlete and brand marketing.
Yep. Fancy title.
Yes, sick title. I mean, when Miss Owens, my first grade teacher, asked me what I want to be when I grow up, I didn't know that was an option, or I'm not a pick that.
It sounds really fancy. It essentially means I like talk to college football players and basketball players all day, which is still pretty cool. So
yeah, that's awesome. So kind of tell us how you kind of got started with Aspire and the Volunteer Club, and kind of how this whole thing kind of came to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. So the guys that started Aspire were James Clausen and Hunter Bedore. They were A3 Athletics for a long time, which is a sports marketing agency based out of Knoxville. They represented the marketing side. Eric Berry is the name that everybody knows. They were his marketing agents his entire career. So when I was in grad school, I interned for them way back in the day. And so I'd always kind of kept in touch around my career. So that's kind of how I knew them. And so from there, I went and I worked at the University of Oklahoma, came back. I worked at the Vol Network, which is the MMR partner here at the University of Tennessee. From there, I went over to the brand side for brand marketing, worked at Tombras here in Knoxville, where I helped marketing for the accounts for Zaxby's, PGA Tour Superstore. And then I was recruited to go to an agency out of Atlanta, where I ran marketing for Hooters of America, for all the Hooters stores across America. And then from there, James and Hunter convinced me to come back and help in the NIL market in Tennessee, because we thought, NIL's an opportunity for Tennessee to get back to the top. And so we thought, a combination of our staff's skill sets would create a real unique opportunity for the athletes here, between their marketing background on the player side, my kind of marketing background on the brand side. We could kind of help athletes know, hey, these are what brands are looking for when they are looking for partners. Here's how to help grow your brand and attract more partners. So, it's kind of a beautiful marriage of skill sets, hopefully.
And you kind of hit on it, and I was curious about the origin story. When did you guys get going, though? NIL was, everyone kind of saw it coming, but it's still not really, there's still a lot to iron out. There's wrinkles in it. So what was that kind of origin story like beyond just saying, hey, this is what we can do?
Yeah, so they started Spire originally to represent golfers. So we still do represent Scott Stallings, who's here from Knoxville, playing in Augusta next week. But then, as NIL's coming up and they're reading about it, again, we thought, hey, this is a real opportunity to make a difference for Tennessee athletes. So they kind of pivot the focus away from representing golfers to trying to be able to give back to Tennessee athletes through this way. So really July 1, they're ready to go. I mean, they helped broker a deal between Cade Mays and DW Designs like the first day of it where he launched a shirt. So they kind of dipping their toe in there. And then pretty quickly we realized there's not an appetite for traditional marketing deals that are going to drive the dollars that we really need to create this NIL environment in Tennessee. So that's kind of why we shifted focus into the volunteer club. I mean, originally it was the 1951 club, and then we wanted to be more inclusive of all sports. So shifted the brand into the volunteer club. And really that was a way to kind of use NIL to create these partnerships where we allow fans access to players, because especially in these college towns, the big market value for these players is in their ability to connect with fans. Like the fans are driving that market value right now.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, you'll learn we're a tangent show. We get off on tangents. You mentioned Scott Stallings. What's the verdict on Scott Stallings' second? I guess he's not technically a second like you are a third, but is he gonna caddy down at Augusta? Do you know?
I think that's the plan. I hope so. I mean, we're gonna be replaying and reliving the glory days of that beautiful shot of him holding the flag pin all week. So I hope we get an updated version of that.
I like it. Yeah. So it was Stallings though that got the wrong Stallings got the letter, the invitation to Augusta, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
Scott Stallings somewhere in Georgia got the letter for Scott, which is a really funny story and a really interesting little wrinkle in all of it. But we're excited to see Scott down there, see what he can do. I'm feeling pretty good about him.
Awesome.
You brought up earlier about, keeping Tennessee on top. When y'all were kind of starting this and it was kind of, taking place, did you ever think like Tennessee would be in the place that it's in, with all the athletic programs?
I mean, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, between what we've been able to do, I'm not going to not take a little bit of credit for that. I think, what NIL is a huge factor in this. But then, Danny White coming on board is huge for the programs. All the hires they have, like all the coaching staffs, Kelly, Rick, Heupel, like they're all great, so they've got everything moving and trending in the right direction. And we're just trying to help support them the best way that we can.
I'm taking credit too, by the way.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. We all want the credit.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too much into the weeds on this one, but I am curious how that you mentioned Cade Mays right off the bat gets a deal day one. How does that connection start with student athletes? Is it they walk on campus and you guys are kind of in their ear already, or what's that like?
So, I mean, we're all fans at the end of the day. So we know, all the players. I'm in the roster daily and watching highlight videos. I'm a super fan. So we know, all the players. And so we try to make ourselves as readily available as we can, and try to field their calls, reach out to them, it could be either way. Like I could call a guy could call us and want to be involved, either way it works. As long as we're making a connection, we're always just trying to get to the players.
So like when like a group of players are signed to a volunteer club, what does that kind of mean?
So it varies a little bit. It depends, it's kind of evolving all the time. But the general idea of it is we sign guys and girls to a deal. And in that deal, it allows them to get a monthly payment so they can help, budget. They learn how to handle budgets. They get paid every month on the first. And then as part of that, what they owe us are, appearances, social posts, autographs. And that kind of allows us to then go take those assets and pass them on to third-party businesses. So if a local business wants to get, Brew McCoy or, Squirrel White, they can call us and be like, hey, I don't know how to get to them. I don't know how to pay them and make it compliant, all these things. Can you help? And we're like, absolutely. What are you looking for? And so then, we have these assets already paid to guys. So it allows us to kind of bridge the gap between what a local business might have for the athlete and the actual market value of what they're looking for. So that way, our goal was always to provide enough money for these guys in these deals so that they're comfortable, and we don't want them chasing every appearance downtown, cutting every ribbon for $25, trying to scrape money together for a meal. Our goal is to allow them to be selective and be the ones that can make the most impact in the community.
Yeah, I think that's interesting with the communication, because I guess what what I'm getting is like it can go from both ends. Like a player can reach out and be like, I want to work with this business, and y'all can reach out to that business. And same thing with the business, they can reach out and say, I want to work with this player.
I mean, our goal is to be a one-stop shop for NIL for everybody in the state of Tennessee and the Southeast. Really, if you need help getting a Tennessee athlete, we want to be there for you. And if you're a Tennessee athlete and you want to work with a business, we want to be there for you. So anything anybody needs, even if it's just, hey, you want to learn more about what NIL is, we want to be there to give you a call and walk you through it all.
And I know we do have some business owners or maybe just decision makers here that listen to the pod. So anybody that wants that kind of deal and maybe doesn't, like you said, it can be difficult, I'm sure, to navigate like that. Players may not know all the answers either if you contact them. So best thing to do is reach out to the volunteer club and get that ball rolling if you want a player to represent you all, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a ton of rules in the NIL as far as like what you have to do, but there are rules, and we've worked really hard to learn what they are. So we want to make sure everybody stays compliant, stays within the guidelines. So we're here to help.
And another thing I wanted to ask too is, and you kind of went into it and it was interesting, and I definitely understand it, just haven't heard it articulated. There isn't, I think people have this misconception that a lot of athletes are going to be like the Bryce Youngs that get signed to 7-figure deals or any of these other athletes that you've heard the crazy numbers, quote unquote, from. Obviously, that's not only unrealistic for just even the best athletes at some schools, but it's also unrealistic for the other 90 rostered players. How important is that membership that we're going to talk about later on too in this show? How important is that to keep NIL at the top at Tennessee?
I mean, it's vital. I mean, it's what separates us, I think, in my mind. You know, every school has a billionaire. We hear a lot of times like, oh, this is the billionaires thing. Like the big donors can handle it. And like, yeah, everybody has their role, you know, but like the difference in a Tennessee and an Alabama or a Georgia or a Florida is the passion of our fan base. So if you can have 100,000 Tennessee fans join the volunteer club, yes, that provides a lot of money for the athletes, but it also, our goal is to create a membership that provides a lot of value for those fans. Like when you sign up for the volunteer club, our goal is to make the volunteer club so awesome as a fan club that you don't even realize the money's going to the athletes. That's a secondary thought. What you're thinking is like, I love this community of Tennessee fans that I'm getting to know. I'm getting to go to these tailgates. I'm getting an autograph from this player. This is awesome. Oh, and while I'm doing that, I'm helping support us win. That's what we're looking to do.
Yeah, and there's so many great perks within each of those tiers. But I do want to ask about the 90% going to the players, and because I think it is kind of, people are kind of weary, especially now with inflation, the economy. People are weary about giving money. So like 90%, like what does that mean? I guess is what I'm asking.
So the 90% is 90% of every fan dollar through your membership goes towards players. So last year was technically 92% or 93%, something like that. We did a little audit and talked about it on one of our podcasts, but 90% of every membership dollar is then turned around and gone back to players. And then the other 10% is what we use to pay salaries, operation costs, but it's also what we use to put on tailgates. All of our events comes out of that 10%.
Okay, cool.
And I did want to ask this too, as far as being the biggest and best NIL, having that membership. You talked about being passionate fans. There's no doubt Tennessee is some of the most passionate fans in the country, if not the most passionate fans, good or bad days sometimes. What, in your experience, is there, when players are making decisions, are they aware of the collectives and their size and their, I guess, their brand? That are they aware when they're picking out schools that, hey, there's a volunteer club at Tennessee that can help me out?
I mean, I think all the players, I say this all the time, kids are so much more in tune with things than I think a lot of adults even are. Like they're early adapters. So like, I think they're all very aware of what's happening. And so our goal is to, you know, create this NIL environment for our players here at Tennessee that, you know, it's impossible to ignore. You have to know that it's here because of what we're able to put out. So yeah, I think they're all very aware of it. And that's our goal. We want to do so much for our current student athletes that it's impossible to ignore.
Yeah. And I think too, that's if Tennessee is going to continue getting these guys on campus, keeping these guys on campus when it comes to making professional decisions. I think we talked about credit earlier on in the show. You feel like you get a little bit of credit when guys stick around when you're paying. I think so. And it was one of those things. Me and Landon talked about it when we started giving to the volunteer club, that if we want the best, like, we've got to be committed as fans too. We can't just expect someone else to kind of pick up the slack. And the perks are awesome. I'm wearing my Comfort Colors t-shirt right now. So, I mean, the perks are awesome too. I've got a Cade Mays autograph photo that came with it. I've had to trade out More Important Issues koozie for Volunteer Club koozie every once in a while. You guys have almost got me on some of the shopping discounts. I do have to budget sometimes, unfortunately, but they're awesome. I'll get there. I'll make the purchase one day, but the perks are awesome. But I like to feel that I'm giving my all for Tennessee.
Well, yeah. And I mean, again, that's what we're looking for. We're always just trying to build this community of fans that, we're making cool merch. Hopefully everybody likes it. And so, again, the whole point of the volunteer club is to create this Tennessee community, provide you guys with merch that everybody likes. Because at the end of the day, we're all Tennessee fans running it. And so we want to make and create stuff that we want to do because we're just like y'all. Everybody's a fan.
Yeah, and Christian Moore is sporting that beer barrel shirt. He's in front of the pod, so it's very hard for me to look at that and not buy it every single time.
The only issue I have with that photo shoot is Christian Moore looks so good in it, and I can't possibly compare. It's really insulting every time I put mine on. Oh,
so it's a little false advertising. Like, we won't look that good.
It's tough to look as good as Christian does. I'll give him that.
And I know we've kind of gone around this, but I do kind of want to get your just in your kind of own words too. Two-part question. How or why does the volunteer monthly membership matter to the Vol Club? We've talked about 90% goes to the players. What is that $5, $25, $100? Like, why does that matter coming in monthly?
I mean, the big one there is, the more fans we have, the more money we have to give to athletes. It allows us to not only create great opportunities for all these different athletes, but it allows us to bring more athletes into the fold. And the more athletes that are getting paid, the better for everybody's program, honestly. So we need those $5, $25, $100 a month members because it creates recurring revenue. And so it allows us to forecast, and create the sustainable model. The big thing everybody's going to be talking about, congressional hearings this week, sustainability. And if you're relying on one big donor all the time, that's going to eventually, things can happen that can go away. But if we create a sustainable, model through the volunteer club, you can't beat that.
Absolutely. And then second part to that, we talked about the perks, but why does it matter to the fan? Is there anything else you kind of want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole goal again with it is we want to create this community there. It's impossible to deny, between our tailgates. One of my favorite things we've done is really launch into the tailgates last year and going every week and seeing people show up and see somebody they met last week at the tailgate. And all of a sudden they're friends, or we're in an away game at the Pittsburgh game, and people meet and they're getting in group texts, and we're building this community of fans. It's my favorite thing. I mean, we're at the end of the day, every Saturday, we're all bleeding orange together, no matter where you're from, what your background is. On Saturday, we pull together, and I love that we've been able to kind of foster that community through the volunteer club.
So we'll see you in Nashville, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
Love it. So, and what's the history of the bus? How did that come about? I loved your all's trek to Pittsburgh. That was fun to keep up with.
Oh my gosh, that was miserable. The worst ride of my life. My back still hasn't recovered. If there's a chiropractor out there, call me. I could use some adjustments. So that one's funny because I hear this a lot as a negative. People are like, they're spending our money on a bus. We did not buy that bus. A donor gave it to us essentially to advertise it. They wanted to sell it, and so they were like, why don't you guys take it to the tailgates, show it around, maybe somebody will buy it. So they donate to us, and it's been incredible. We pack it full of beer and drive it over to the games and unload it. So it's our tailgate bus, and it's an incredible tool for us, but I will never, ever drive it to Pittsburgh again. I promise you that.
So it's just a giant cooler. Why are people mad about that? If it's bringing the beer, why are people upset about that?
Yeah, if you happen upon it, there might still be some in there, so please don't break into it.
Well, that's something we haven't mentioned too, and you guys have it on your homepage. Definitely go over to the volunteer club. It's you learn a lot just on your Hours About section. You talk about it. 10% of that is going though. It's for the fans. You're giving back and doing these events that bring players. I know a couple tailgates you guys had Urosh and Zakiah and Josiah, Jordan James. y'all had meet and greets there, but it's also to put on these events. I know y'all had a basketball tailgate this year. I was really hoping I could make it. It was a day I couldn't go. It was in the Pratt Pavilion. It was super cool.
Yeah.
So you guys do that as well.
Yeah, it's a great space. And like we're trying to put on more events. You know, we had a signing day event for all the new class this year when they all got on campus. And then spring games right around the corner. We'll have a big activation there. We're working on doing some stuff at baseball on Friday nights for the remaining home game series to do some stuff. So like we're always trying to find new ways to provide an opportunity for fans. Again, that's what we do it for.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, kind of going back to bringing more athletes into the fold, NIL is a big recruiting thing as of right now. So can you shine light on like how recruiting, like how that process kind of works within the volunteer club? Is it just kind of separate, but like you're there if they need to talk about it, or kind of how does that work?
So we talk, like talking to recruits, we talk to them once they get on campus.
Okay.
So athlete gets on campus, he signs, green light, it's go time. I'm trying to find their number. I'm trying to talk to them, get them in the fold. So again, that's our dream there is as soon as we can get them on campus, green light, we'll try to track them down and get them signed up.
And that's good. That's a good thing to know. I imagine that's an NCAA rules thing. So like you said, with those businesses, if you've got a big name coming up and you have questions when to contact, that's a good thing to go to the volunteer club for to understand. Yep.
And businesses, that's another interesting one. Like technically, like if you're a local business and you have a high school player in your area, now you can do an NIL deal with them. One of the rules, you know, we couldn't do a strictly like you have to come to the University of Tennessee because that's an inducement. Can't do that. But like nowadays, one of the great things, if you're, you know, a local mom and pop food store and you want to do a deal with a high school football player down the street for you, you can absolutely do that. So, you know, we're really coming around and really letting young athletes benefit from their name and likeness, which is huge.
Absolutely. And getting NCAA football back. Speaking of the great things NIL's doing.
They keep pushing it. I'm getting a little worried about it.
Are you guys involved? Like, are collectives involved with that at all? How are they managing? I mean, that's a lot of athletes to try to get it. Yep. It's not like Madden or NBA. It's much more complicated.
So that's been the tricky part of it. So Madden and NBA, you have the Players Association, and they control all the group licensing agreements, so they can go one place, get all the players on board, easy. We control a lot of the group licensing stuff at Tennessee. So we have volunteered our services to the NCAA and EA Sports if they need Tennessee athletes to be on the game, please call me. I will do everything in my power to get all those players on there so I can play with them. But yeah, I mean, that's the tough part about that is that there's so many hurdles to jump through to get everybody's permission.
No, well, you heard it here first, EA Sports. You know where to go for the University of Tennessee licensing. They should be running out of the tee, and every player should have a name on the back of their jersey. It's here.
Absolutely. Give them their cut. Like Dion said, I'm not hard to find.
Yeah. We shouldn't have to wait on some nerd to create a roster and us download it all.
I was trying to remember. I can't remember the guy's name that used to do them. That I used to download. It was like Pasta something or something like
that.
Yeah. Whoever's doing college football revamped, I'm sorry, this is probably not good for you because these players aren't getting their cut. It's awesome. I don't know who puts in that work. It's awesome.
I love it. I mean, I don't play it, but it's
awesome. We did kind of hit on your overall vision and what you have for the volunteer club, and you actually kind of even mentioned what's key, and that's creating that community. Is there anything else you kind of want to add to that, though? I think that's a really cool opportunity because you do have these kind of sections of those communities that are out there. You have some that listen to this podcast, some that listen to this radio station, some that go to this message board or whatever it may be. And this is a way that kind of brings them all together and also benefits student athletes. Is that like that? Is that the kind of number one vision, or is there anything else to it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like you said, at the end, or like there's all these different factions. Some guys go on Ball Nation, some are on VolQuest, some are on Go Balls. Some are on Rivals. Like wherever you may be to consume your Tennessee stuff. At the end of the day, we're all rooting for Tennessee. So we're trying to create a one-stop shop for everybody that's a Tennessee fan to come together and support Tennessee student athletes.
I love it. I'm dumb, so if I understand that, hopefully everybody else can. I'm not
the if anybody's got questions, go on the website, shoot us an email, give us a call.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We will track them all down and call them all until they understand it.
I love it. So you mentioned that, one of your favorite things is you get to talk to, these athletes all day long. Who were some of your? I don't want to say favorites. Who were some of the best ones that you got to talk to?
Everybody has always asked that, and I'm always afraid to say names because they'll start connecting dots and think I mean something bad about somebody.
Yeah.
But I love Joe Milton. He's one of my favorite people in the world. The way he runs that building at this point, he's really taken on a leadership role. I had dinner with him a week or two ago, and he's unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better leader on that program right now. Big fan of Cooper Mays. He's always a great guy to deal with. Amari Thomas, huge, Big O I'm a big fan of him. Trying to think some of the new guys that I've gotten to meet. I really like Dante Thornton. He was really nice. Keenan Peely is an interesting guy because he's coming from Utah. He's married. He's older than everybody. He's very mature. I'm a big fan of him. Let's see. Some of my favorites are Dylan Sampson and Squirrel. They are attached at the hip. They don't leave each other. They are an incredible duo. I had them at an elementary school in Anderson County judging the science fair. It was a hysterical night.
Is there a video? I think that'd be good content right there.
I know. I should have made it more content. I failed there, but they are hysterical. I like both those guys.
There's a lot of speed between the two of them guys. I don't know if that's legal. Cop might pull them over just in the car just for being together.
They might have to.
That kind of reminded me too of Josh Heupel mentioned. I think he was on Bussin' with the Boys podcast. Actually, he talked about NIL and how it's been great for these players too because they're taking more ownership of the brand. I mean, first off, some of these guys are 18 years old away from home for the first time. Unfortunately, trouble sometimes comes up, but something he's noticed, and you talked about, you've been in athletics for a long time, so you probably noticed too. Is there more of a, hey, I've got to keep my crap together because there's money to be made?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think you could go back and look at the incidents over the past, 18 months and realize there's a really, at least for our program, a rapid decline in those. Guys are really, and that's a testament to the coaching staff and stuff as well.
Right.
But guys are staying out of trouble because they really understand that, if you start making mistakes and you get a reputation, brands aren't going to work with you. You really hurt your own brand value if you're not taking care of business on and off the field.
Yeah, and it's not that brand isn't 4 years down the road when you're playing in the NFL. It's now. Yeah. Like it affects you in the now. So it is. I think the
coaching staff has done a really good job, and the former players and everything really imparting on that on the guys. Like, hey, you're building your future, not just in your NFL, but you want to come back and work in this community one day, and you don't want to tarnish your reputation. So they can look at guys like Jason Swain has done a great job. He went off, did some time in the NFL, came back, and now he's built a career here for himself. There's a lot of business leaders like that have gone on and come back and really made their home in Knoxville. And so as long as you're staying out of trouble and doing the right things, you can build a really nice career after you're done here.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys can learn from guys like Swain. And I know Trey Smith, after he's done, he's going to have a fantastic career doing whatever he's doing. So, yeah, I think those kind of ambassadors of the university have kind of paved the way like, hey, this could be you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's important to have a good role model, and hopefully through NIL, guys are just able to get a jump start on it. If you can make enough money and you can really start investing that in the things that you want to do after football, I think it's a great opportunity for guys.
Yeah.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry. This will be the last one, and it's somewhat meaningless. One of my favorite rebuttals to NIL, and it's mostly old people. And truthfully, I haven't done my taxes yet, and that's why it hit. I was like, oh crap. April 15th is coming up. I know. I'm sorry. You
heard of TurboTax? Like we can help you out.
I know. Do you guys have a role in that though? These players making money. Some of that's got to be reported over a dollar amount. So
yeah, I mean that's obviously important. Like the university does a great job of providing education in that department, from my understanding. And then we also, last year we provided tax information. We use the platform that we use is Open Doors. It's where we process our famous athletes. And one of the main reasons we do that is because it takes all the 1099 forms for them and then delivers them all in one place for those guys. So it makes it as easy as possible. There's a lot of tax opportunities there, and there's a lot of tax aid through that site. And then, if any of the guys reach out when the tax season comes, I'm more than happy to have connected them to a tax professional if they need some help with it. Because at the end of the day, that is a big concern. A lot of these guys haven't done that. They definitely haven't done a 1099 employee situation. Yeah. So like us trying to remind them, hey, and Open Doors again does a great job too. There's a 1099. Here's your tax forms. This is what you're going to have to know at the end of the year. So it's a big factor, but there's a lot of education out there for those guys if they need it.
Yeah, it's been my favorite rebuttal from typically the older crowd. So
yeah, what about taxes?
Yeah,
we're all paying them. Don't worry.
yeah. Somebody's got to pay for that retirement. My last question, it's kind of a two-parter here. Is Joe Milton him? And then Timothy. I like that. I like that. And then Tennessee LSU, who you got this weekend? It's starting. I guess it already started.
Yeah, I hope this doesn't make me look bad, but I'm going Tennessee in a sweep. But first question, Joe is the man. I couldn't say more. I think he has an incredible year. And I kept telling him when everybody was hyping up Will Levis and Anthony Richardson that he should be their number one fan because everything people say they do well, he does better. He's bigger, he's faster, he throws the ball further. So that's all they can do. And he can, again, do that better than they can. So
that's a hell of a spin zone. That is beautiful.
That's what we're here for. So I love Joe and everything he's doing. I think he's going to have a great year. I can't wait to see it. For baseball, I'm going sweep against LSU. They're terrible. Chase is going to take care of it on the mound tonight. I got Griffin Merritt hitting 2 home runs, and I got Dickey hitting 1.
I like Griffin Merritt because he has gone lower in the batting order this week. So when Zane didn't move to the 9-hole on Sunday, he went 3 for 3 with 5 RBI. So I like that.
Griffin's my guy. I'm a big fan.
He's old too. He's an old man too. You're a big fan of the old guys.
Oh yeah. Well, they're a little more mature. They're easy. They respond to me better. I don't have to pretend I know what's going on TikTok when I talk to them.
I like Will Watkins. Great name. Better sports predictor. I love this. Let's keep it rolling.
Appreciate it.
Will, we really appreciate you coming on, talking about this. Hopefully next time we have you on, we can just talk ball. Everybody will get a grasp on NIL and the collectives and everything, and we can just talk ball for 30 minutes.
I love it. Let's get on here and talk ball, talk spring ball, see what everybody's shaping up, see where everybody's coming on. So
yeah. Do you have any questions for us? Kind of shifted a little bit. You good? All right.
Yeah. The street lights came on. It's time to go home.
That golden hour's over.
Gotta go inside.
Yeah.
Playtime's over.
All right, Will, we appreciate it, man.
No, thank y'all for having me.
Have a good one.
See you.
That was Will Watkins from the Volunteer Club. Appreciate him hopping on with us. As like I said, we are now affiliates for the Volunteer Club, and we'd like to really see that grow and continue to see these athletes get the NIL opportunities they have. And I like the idea of building that community. Tennessee Volunteer fan community is already awesome. You see it time and time again, and I think it could be really special. And I think he pointed out one thing, how these young guys, social media, they're much more aware of what's going on. When they see a collective that big and they see what's kind of happening around the program, they take notice. These football recruits have taken notice what baseball's done, what basketball's done, baseball recruits, vice versa. So it's awesome to kind of see what Tennessee's building here. And Will Watkins, great guy, and he knows ball. Tennessee just took a 1-0 lead in the top of the 5th, 2 on 2 outs.
9-hole hitter. There's something about the 9-hole at Tennessee. I don't know what it is the past couple of games, but Christian Scott with a single with 2 outs to bring in Jared Dickey. So, God, let's get a win, baby.
The guy knows ball. I'm loving what we're seeing right here. Keep the good vibes coming. Come on, I need to see some good vibes in the chat. Give me something. I'm a panic guy. I'm feeling good. 1-0. What's the most dangerous? So it's kind of a dumb saying. I don't entirely understand. Actually, I could actually break it down for you, but I still think it's dumb. So people say the most dangerous lead in soccer is 2-0. Yeah, no, 2-1. Now I'm forgetting it. 2-1. It's 2-1. I'm sorry, which doesn't really make sense, but I could break it down for you and kind of make it make sense. Is there a most dangerous lead in baseball?
With playing LSU, every lead is dangerous.
I like that. Let's build this lead and make it less dangerous. It's got to get better as you score more, right?
Got to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll feel better here soon. We are going to go ahead and get into baseball. This is an exciting series. It's at the box. That is a hell of a park, man. I mean, when you talk about some of the great parks in college baseball, unfortunately, I've only been to Lindsey Nelson, but seeing some of the things that come out of places like the Dude, you've got Ole Miss with the beer showers, just a tradition unrivaled in college baseball. You've got down at Bluebell, the ball champ, ball 4, ball 5. I think it got up to ball 12 one time, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then LSU, two jumbotrons, right?
Yeah, 2 jumbotrons.
And a Tiger out front.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Cool. I rode that Tiger, so
yeah.
They talk about hold that Tiger. I rode that Tiger.
You held it for sure. And I mean, but it's just, I think it's awesome to Tennessee's obviously still a team that's kind of on the rise as far as being a program. They put together the seasons in the SEC, but as far as being a program, still kind of piecing those together and becoming that. If you can go in and get a win at somewhere like the Box this weekend, go in and get a series win. I mean, talk about continuing to boost that resume. You swept it.
Confidence is going to be through the roof. You beat a LSU team. LSU is a blue blood in college baseball.
Yeah.
So having their number for the past few years, I'm sure LSU fans have been circling this one since 2001 when Paul Maneri was crying in the dugout after we swept them. Said it was a
2021
nasty environment. Yeah.
Okay.
What'd I say?
You said 2001. I thought you were going to talk about the SEC championship game in football. I was so scared.
2021.
It creeps in. Those losses creep in, man.
Yeah.
You never forget them.
21. And then we got them last year in the SEC tournament. I mean, this is one that they were kind of waiting on to get back at us. And, they've put together a really good team. And, adding Paul Skeens, who's dominating right now, Tommy White. And then you already had Trey Morgan and the best player people were saying ever in college baseball, and that's Dylan Cruz.
Yeah, and Tommy Tanks is probably the most well-deserved nickname of all time, by the way. I hope we beat him this weekend. I hope we take it away, but it's a well-deserved nickname. And that's another thing, going back to that 2021, you get them twice. That they came to
Lindsey Nelson both.
Lindsey Nelson in the regular season too, right?
Yeah, we swept them.
Swept them twice. Okay, I was making sure I wasn't crazy. I mean, those are two huge, not just for your season, but for your program. But obviously, those are at home. It is a different environment. So if you could go and replicate any kind of that in Baton Rouge, that's just another elevation. Good Lord, you see the line drive up past third. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. We've tweeted it out, the series that are left ahead of Tennessee. I mean, talk about a gauntlet, but if you can come out of there, you might have some blood, you might have some scrapes and bruises, but maybe you can say, look at the other guys, and that would be huge.
And this is a series no one's kind of give you a chance in with the team LSU has put together and some of the struggles Tennessee's had over these past couple weeks. So I think it is a great opportunity for Tennessee to go out and show exactly how good they can be. You come out here with a series win, I mean, no one from here on is going to ever doubt you. Tennessee has the talent; they just got to put it together a little bit. I mean, and it's not going to be like dominant like it was last year. I mean, you're seeing Chase Dolander; he just had his first strikeout last inning,
right?
So, but continue to piece it together and find ways to win. That's what good teams do: find ways to win, and you're going to have to find ways to win this one against LSU with. You've had a runner on basically every single inning with no outs and gotten out of it. So hopefully they're able to get out of this one.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned how not many people are giving Tennessee a chance in this one. 11.7, they do a pick 'em each week. Tennessee LSU is on that pick 'em. 82% have LSU winning the series. 82% of the public. So not many. And I would take a good guess if you ask 82% of them. Another at least 80% are saying sweep in this one. Tennessee has been. I'm not saying disappointing is not the right word, but underwhelming when they've gone up against competition, I guess is the right way to say it.
Yep.
So yeah,
until last weekend, that was the question: can this team, beat a good team? And
even then, I mean, that A&M team, that A&M just school is on the ropes, right? They lost a midweek to Texas.
Yeah, I mean Texas
at home. Yeah, they are at home.
They still won from LSU.
No, for sure. But you got to call them out for everything you can. Texas A&M has become one of my – love their fans, by the way. But anything that comes out of those sports programs, I despise.
See, I think I lump in the yell leaders with the fans. So
I'm opposite. I lump them in with the school.
See, I do. I think they're all in one.
That's fair, but you are
people hate Tennessee because of the fans, so I can do the same thing to Texas A&M.
Oh, I'm not saying you're wrong for hating the fans. Oh no.
Yep.
There's that 1-0 lead gone. But yeah, I think being in College Station after that Tennessee game, those are the nicest people in the world. Definitely Colty. Like it's not people I'd hang around for more than a weekend, but if you can survive a weekend with the Colt and get out, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with that. Personally,
yeah.
Colts are fun. Ask Creed Bratton.
They are fun. Follower and a leader.
Leader, you make more money.
Right.
Follower, you have more fun.
Right.
I met the leader. I met the leader of their cult that night. I get it. Let me tell you that. I get it. He's a talker, man. Salesman.
Butch Jones salesman?
No, way better than that.
Oh, okay. Let's get into a little bit of basketball.
Yeah, let's talk basketball real quick.
Had some news.
Before we do that, bat flip Monday night to recap this SEC series against LSU. Make sure you tune in. Landon and Dylan. Landon don't want to sell his own show. I'll sell it for him. Bat flip Monday night, 7 p.m.
Appreciate it.
Tune in.
Yeah, it looks like we're about to make I guess we're not making a pitch change. Frank Anderson's just coming out. Looks like Howerson's up in the bullpen. So, yeah, we'll see how this one turns out with Trey Morgan up to bat.
We need a lip reading on Frank Anderson. He just dropped a surprised I didn't blur his face for that one. I don't know what it was, but it was aggressive. Can't imagine it was FCC friendly.
Get it together. All right. Yeah, so we had some news today. Olivier Kumar is in the transfer portal.
Very interesting.
It is weird. I mean, I didn't really expect him to be back at Tennessee, and I don't think anybody really did. But for him to go somewhere else is a little weird to me. I thought he would just go overseas and, make a little bit of money. Here's the thing about Olivier, and I saw somebody tweet it earlier, and I thought it was funny. They're like, somebody's going to get a really good player for 4 or 5 games next year.
I mean, yeah, inconsistent. I mean, the guy can play. It's just inconsistent, and it sucks because he had some big games. I mean, that Duke game, that Texas game, those are memorable moments.
If he puts it together, if he can play, I'm not saying he has to put up 27 a game, but if he could consistently score 16, 17 points a game and be dominant on the boards, I mean, he's probably getting a shot in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I almost said before you rattled off 16, 17, he's a guy that I think has the ability that he should be scoring 15 points, 6, 7 rebounds a game. I don't think that's out of question for him, and just couldn't put it together for his time at Tennessee. And it's unfortunate. And I mean, this is I think one thing to forget, everybody wants to overreact. This is a guy that could still come back. Transfer portal doesn't mean you're gone. It is it probably means he's gone. This, if it was an NBA test the waters there, I would say more leaning towards coming back. With him being in the transfer portal, I think leaning towards him being gone. I am interested to see who's interested in him, because I think there's value seen in him. He's a guy that's what is he listed at, 6'10" or 6'10"? Yeah,
6'8".
Oh, is he just 6'8"? Just listed at 6'8".
6'9".
Big guy, long guy, can play out on the perimeter, both offensively and defensively. He has a nice turnaround game when it's there. And so I'm really interested to see what that draws, who's drawn to him, and kind of seeing what that happens. Because I think that tweet kind of sums up his career at Tennessee. But every college coach is going to like the veteran guy. Every college coach is going to like the length he has. So now that doesn't mean they can either take him because of scholarships or even necessarily want him, but they're going to like him.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've talked about it on this show. It's time for Tennessee to have some new blood in this program. And, if you're able to replace him with – here's the thing. Toby Watkins on his heels. I mean, if Toby Watkins can get any kind of offensive production, he's a better player than Olivier Kumar.
Yeah.
Because he's consistent. He's a consistent rebounder. Olivier is not. Olivier can have 27 one game, but he's also that next game, he's going to give you like 4.
Right. I think what you said with the new blood, I think it's just, this isn't, I'm not upset that he's leaving. I'm a little surprised. I thought he would be a guy that would come back, but I think it's just time.
Yeah,
time
yeah,
part ways.
I agree. I mean,
I rooted for him, and I think he's a likable dude, and I think he brought a lot when he brought a lot, but when he didn't, he just didn't, and it stunk. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say about that.
Yeah, he was just a frustrating player to have when you don't know what you're going to get from not in and not out.
Yeah,
I mean, if you like Uros, I mean, you kind of knew what you're going to get.
Well, and another thing too, and it's kind of you're victim of circumstance. Just this team too. I think if Kumwa has a guy next to him that can be a little bit more productive, he's not asked to do as much, and he can kind of find a place that he probably does fit better. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, Tennessee needed someone that they could go down to in the paint in tight situations, and thankfully he was that guy during Duke. But going back to when he wasn't that guy, he just wasn't, and Tennessee needed him to be that this season, and he wasn't that for 34 games, however many we played, which is unfortunate. But I mean, I think if he does find a place that he doesn't have to be the guy down there, I think this is a guy that could find a better situation potentially. I do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, not a huge loss, I don't think. I think it was kind of time to part ways anyway.
So. And what does suck, and I think Tobe Awaka could step up into his role with guys like Tobe and then Jonas Adu kind of coming into their own a little bit more. I think maybe next year could be a time if they step up that Olivier Kumwa is a little bit more sure and confident of who he is as a player. And then I don't think it's any secret that Tennessee needs a bucket getter. You tweeted it, and some of the replies were absolutely hilarious. Like someone who can dribble and drive, like that's. And I think you said shoot too, and it's like but I mean, even the shooting. Like if you had a guy that could dribble and drive, and you had Santiago Vescovi next to them, like that's a whole different ballgame. And a guy like Zakaya is somewhat of that guy, but he's also limited by size. Unfortunately, he can only be so much of a threat. There was an article, I don't know, I didn't read it, but it was a nice little clickbait headline that Freddie Dillon is, however you say his last name, is ready to be the bucket getter. And I hope that's the case.
Dillon,
yeah. A little French in there.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. If he wants to be that. Tennessee needs it. I know they're going to look in the transfer portal, and they obviously should. We kind of got a question about this. So Noah at Noah _Simmerly 97 says, do we take all commitments seriously with the inevitable possibility of a transfer decommitment, or do we take these with a grain of salt?
Was this a response to Olivier or Jake Merklinger?
I thought I don't know. It was just a question on the show.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I don't think you take them with a grain of salt, but also don't think you can stop recruiting after that either. And it's not like once you get them signed, you still have to recruit them to stay on campus every single year.
Yeah, your job as a coach is your goal is to recruit over every single person on that roster. I mean, that's your goal. Bringing in the best talent every year. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if grain of salt. Yeah, you understand that decommitments can happen, but going back to what Eric Kane talked about when we had him on last time, that these guys are wanting to be more in tune with a program going into their senior year. A lot of guys are wanting to get that stuff figured out. They're committing earlier. They're sticking with it earlier, barring coaching changes or any other big changes like that. So I think as far as Jake Merklinger goes, like I think, yeah, certainly, guys, until he's on campus, like he's not really a vol. And even then, transfer portal can be hit at any moment. But it's a little – I feel like a junior – I guess he's, yeah, technically a junior. A junior commitment now is very different than a junior commitment 5 years ago even.
Yeah. Especially at the quarterback position. They're always coming off the board first anyway. So
yeah.
And they're a little bit more kind of settled. It's usually like a well thought out process. Now some it's not, and they're going to continue to light up the process, but majority like have where they want to go, and they kind of want to build their class around it. So
yeah, and then I think kind of the same question, since it did mention transfers as far as Olivier goes. I mean, you got to remember, just because they hit the transfer portal doesn't mean they're gone. I mean, they can make the decision to come back. I mean, unless Rick Barnes has decided to part ways with him, he's probably still recruiting them, or any other assistant coaches on the staff. So, yeah, I mean, again, until these guys are on another campus or on campus, it doesn't mean anything really.
Yeah.
There's still decisions to be made. So,
yeah, and you're going to hit the transfer portal no matter like who you recruited out of high school. You're still going to hit the transfer portal.
Wait, say that again. Sorry.
So, I mean, he was saying, like, do you take these commitments with a grain of salt? I mean, like, you're still going to hit the transfer portal regardless.
As a coach.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I mean,
I get
and maybe some positions aren't needed as much, so you don't recruit them as hard. But yeah, I mean, if there's a top quarterback in there and you have who you have, you're probably still talking to them and seeing what that's like. Now, you may not recruit them as hard because you have other areas of need. But yeah, if there's top guys in there, you're and they show any kind of interest, there's conversations for sure.
Sure. All right, let's
we get any other questions? Is that it?
I think that's the only one I saw.
Okay. Make sure I got them all. All right, stupidity, and then we'll get out of here and finish this Tennessee LSU game. Tennessee did get out of that with just that 2-run homer. So
yep.
Was that Halverson that came in?
Yeah, Halverson's in. So I think the first one I have is
before we get to stupidity, I do want to mention, speaking of transfers, Belmont transferred, Destiny Wells did commit to Lady Vols.
Averaging 19 points a game.
Averaging 19 points. She scored 20 on the Vols when they played. So good pickup.
Last year? Was that last year?
I think. I'm not sure.
The
when
NCAA tournament?
Yeah, no, that sounds right. I think it was the NCAA tournament. That sounds right.
Yeah, can she play on our team too? Can she play on both?
How does that work? I wanted Pat to coach both. How does it work for suiting up for both?
I want to get to the OnlyFans girl that is DMing. I guess she's looking for a hubby, like a nice little teddy bear to cuddle with, keep her warm at night. So she's DMing all of the top offensive lineman prospects for the NFL draft, and that includes our very own Darnell Wright. And he tweeted back with an all-time comment and just said, "Stinking bitch." I love it.
Hey, listen, I love the response, but I respect the hustle a little bit. You know who you are. You know what you need to take care of. She tried. Shoot your shot. Why not? But Darnell, smart decision. He's got good people in his ears.
Yeah,
he knows. Also, this isn't a stupidity, but Louis Riddick of ESPN tweeted yesterday, Darnell Wright going to be a Pro Bowl All-Pro his rookie season. In consideration in my mind for best overall player in this draft when it is all said and done, should be a great pro. That's a big stamp right there on Darnell Wright's draft prospect.
Yeah, he killed it this year. Did you see Mike Tannenbaum, his mock draft? He predicted Hendon Hooker to go number 5 to the Seahawks.
I saw there were talks around that if Hendon Hooker hadn't gotten injured, he might be the number 1 quarterback off the board. Was that in relation to that?
Yeah, I think that is the same guy. He's like, I absolutely love this guy. And yeah, he was talking about that.
Okay.
I mean, that's high praise. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the NFL scouts are. If I'm an NFL scout, I'm definitely looking at Hendon Hooker before I'm looking at Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. I'll say that. Yeah,
I think so too. I mean, ACL and then ACL injury is much different again than 5-10 years ago. Much different. So I think there's still a lot of upside to Hendon Hooker even with the ACL injury. But yeah, I saw that, and I mean, kind of surprised me to say that just because Bryce Young and good Lord, I almost said JT Stroud. CJ Stroud are just really I know. Really, really good prospects. And I mean, nothing against Hendon Hooker. I mean, those dudes are just not only freak athletes, freak quarterbacks. And I think Hendon Hooker has certainly put himself up in that category, but those guys have done it for a while in college too. So that surprised me a little bit here.
Yeah.
My first stupidity is I've got 2. Jay Billis. All of a sudden, Jay Billis now thinks the NCAA needs to make rule changes specifically to address the physicality of the game. This guy's been a college basketball analyst for how long? I don't think I've ever heard him say this.
Yeah, he's
looks like
he's still upset about the Duke game.
Parents turn down the volume.
Weird, he lost the hero of the Duke game in the portal.
Parents, turn on the volume for just a second here. He sounds like a baby back bitch with all this whining about it. I guarantee you, we could find a tweet or a mention on his show, something, how he cries about how the game isn't what it used to be. It used to be much more physical and take, much more physical strength and mental strength than what it is now. I guarantee it. And now he's wanting to change the rules to make it softer. I hate. So that foul that I said should have been called on Vescovi because they call it all the time. I hate the hand check rule. I think it's dumb. I think there's obvious physical contact that shouldn't be allowed in basketball. But when guys are using their arms and hands to no separation and force the offensive player places, that's basketball. I hate that rule. And I'm sure Jay Billis has said that at some point. And now all of a sudden he wants it tighter. Also, how many more fouls can we call in a basketball game? Seriously, if he wants it called any less physical, teams are going to need 12 solid players to finish games, especially in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
God, what a freaking deep shot. Dadgummit.
Yep, close.
Had to hit it to center field, huh?
Yeah, Dylan Cruz.
Well, I mean, I feel like, I don't know the lengths of that park, but you could pretty much, that was either the warning track in center, left or right. That's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
We're probably back up 3-2.
Jared Zicky run to the dugout. He kind of knew it too, that it should have been going. Yeah, I don't understand Jay Billis and why he's being such a crybaby. I mean, if it was any other team, he might have some sort of leg to stand on, but since it's Duke, everybody's just like, dude, stop crying about it.
Just own up to it. If we were on the other side of this, I'd be saying the same thing. But you know what I'd have followed up with or started with? I'm a Tennessee fan, and this is why I want it done. Well, and I'll say it right now. I think Tennessee benefits from the physical brand of basketball. But here's the thing. Tennessee, listen, every game is officiated different in every sport. It's the human element of the game. If you go out there and every coach in the locker room in some form or fashion says the phrase, go hit him in the mouth first. That's just part of sports. You create the physicality. And if the refs are going to let you play physical, you play physical. Rick Barnes isn't Urosh is an outlier of any Rick Barnes team at Tennessee. Urosh made dirty that play. I don't even know if that's the right word for what he did to FAU's center, however you say his last name. I don't know. It was stupid, and but the player wasn't going to get hurt from that. It was just incredibly dumb. And maybe dirty is the right word. I don't know. But dumb. That's not happened at Tennessee other than Uroš Plavšić. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he just looks he looks like a crybaby. So
I just
can we, instead of crying about that, how about you cry about Duke letting a guy that scored 6 points against FAU go off for 27? How about that?
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Holy crap.
I just have a hard time believing Tennessee's the most physical team in the country. I'm sorry. They'd go a lot farther in March if they were. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Every year, I'm sorry. So I don't want to hear that. Also, Lamonte Turner got the softest foul call I've ever seen in NCAA tournament history called on him. So don't act like games aren't called tight against Tennessee. My last stupidity, it's almost just, stupidity isn't necessarily the right way to say this. It's just funny. So we talked about Texas A&M and Texas. Did you see the streaker? Actually, there is a stupidity in this story, but not what I'm going to show. He's a streaker, or streaker's not the right word. I don't think he was naked. That'd be really dumb if he was.
He just
he was a pitch. It'd be a pitch invader in soccer.
He
I guess a diamond invader in baseball.
Solely storm the field.
He
did it by himself.
So the just bad broadcast timing here. You've got the announcers talking about it, and ESPN, and every broadcast network now refuses to show them. So just bad broadcast timing. But one of my favorite 2-second clips to come out of this week. Here you go.
Now we've got some idiot on the field.
So that idiot, I guess who they're referring to is Jim Schlossnagel. I think that's how you say his name, the A&M coach. Just poor timing. I I like to think they were talking about him in my mind.
Oh yeah, they definitely were.
Also,
I actually like Schlossnagel.
well, I just thought that was funny. That right, I mean, just perfect timing. The stupidity of that part is the guy that did it was a Texas A&M cross country track and field guy that probably had his scholarship revoked, kicked off the team for that, which is interesting.
Yeah, also,
Which
like,
I mean,
you kind of have a lot to lose if you're just
yeah, they might have been paying a very small part of his scholarship, but that's still cash in pocket, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't get arrested over it.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw a lot of people speculating that maybe he was no longer on the team, and so didn't feel like he had a lot to lose anymore as a student. But A&M, I don't know much about their rules. Obviously, for football players, not as strict. But for cross country runners, they're probably a little bit harder on. I got to imagine that at a place that they were like Army Corps originally, and then all the cadets and stuff, they probably have pretty strict code of conduct there. So just really dumb to potentially get kicked out of school for do it at a football game. That's what that's what I'm adding to that. If you're gonna get kicked out of school for it, make it a little more memorable.
Or do it with somebody else that's slower than you.
Yeah. Well, apparently he made it out of the stadium, and then when he jumped the fence, the cops were just waiting on him. That's apparently I don't
Bad
know
getaway plan. That was terrible planning.
Yeah, you didn't have the driver ready. Just bad.
Yeah. That's all I got. Do you have any more stupidities?
No, that's it for me. It's been a fun show. It was good to learn about NIL. Kind of on the long end tonight, but we learned a lot tonight. We're excited to help the volunteer club grow. Make sure you guys join today. Check out Underdog Collectibles. Either check them out in store, YouTube channel. A lot of great stuff over there. Great people over there. Excited to work with them as well. So make sure you check all that stuff out.
Yeah, guys, thanks again. Have a good Friday, good weekend. We'll see you back on Sunday, and hopefully talking about Tennessee winning the series. So we're bringing the boat in, and we out.